The Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the Bristol Flyers Podcast, powered by Matchday Live. I'm Joel Osborne, and he is Sam Hardy. Sam, what a game it was last week against the Surrey 89ers in that home opener at SGS. Incredible.
I deserve to put a bunch of names in a bucket or pulls forfeits out, Joel, because I called him scorchers about 3 times on the night.
I actually did it on the broadcast as well.
Did you?
Yeah. Gareth, I think I corrected Gareth one time as well. It's an easy mistake to make, but we're getting there slowly.
I like thinking of them as the 99ers from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
But yeah, the Flyers picked up their first Super League win in the trophy. Dramatic finish at the SGS College Arena, 86 points to 73. And the atmosphere, Sam, was nuts.
I mean, we gave ourselves a bit of a tough time. We were down a little bit, but at the last quarter especially, it went absolutely wild in there, didn't it?
It was. We will talk about the game in more detail later on in this show. But the big news is we got producer Dan back with us. Dan, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. And it sounds like I missed a really, really good episode last week. Of all the weeks to go away, you had some brilliant guests on.
We did. Well, it's a single guest, actually. It was just these nights.
Oh.
But it was a great episode. So you missed that. Go listen to it back on all major podcast providers on YouTube today, producer Dan.
Dan was just sucking up to his boss there. Well, not quite his boss, but someone who booked Brandbox to come in, Joel. So that's why he did it, I reckon.
Not at all.
Where have you been, Dan? Well, tell us what you've been up to.
Well, I went to Greece and I went to a wedding, which was on the same trip. It was a wedding in Greece.
Oh, I love that. Whose wedding was it?
My friend Sam and my friend Leah, they got married together.
No, we didn't. Do not tell Helen. We did not.
You got married, did you? Bloody hell.
That's even worse, because one of my first girlfriends was called Leah, actually. So,
Oh, good.
I went to an alternate universe where Sam ended up marrying Leah. So.
Okay.
There we go. But you missed a great couple of games, Dan. Of course, the ENBL opener against Back and Bears. Did you watch that one?
I didn't. No, I had a full detox of any sport while I was out there. It was nice.
Oh, I love
nice.
that, though.
A detox of sport.
Listen, it works. It works. When you're around sport all the time, I do this in the off-season as well, detox away from sport, it's incredible.
Ah, okay.
It's really
why?
good.
Is it because you just feel like it's your job rather than something you can just sit and enjoy?
Well, you literally work it, and then you're working weekends, and then your spare time, what you're doing, you're watching basketball, so you get any time just to relax and just get away from basketball. It's great.
Yeah,
So
this guy knows it.
Yeah, exactly. So glad you had a good time.
Thank you.
But whilst you're away, Dan, we've actually got a little surprise for you, haven't we, Sam?
Yes, we do.
Because you'll notice that myself and Sam are wearing polos.
You are.
Powered by Loyal to the Game, our new partner. They've hooked the whole team up with merch this season. We've got you one.
Have you actually?
Yes, we do.
Reaches down into my bag under the desk, and here it is.
This is a joke?
No,
it
it
is.
is.
Oh!
We've got you a polo, producer Dan.
Wow,
So
have I got to come and get it?
And you've got to put it
that
on.
is for you. That's a
Good
great
throw.
throw, by the way.
Great throw.
Oh, I thought you had to come and put it on screen.
No.
Take it off. Take it off.
But there
Oh,
you
thank
go.
you very much.
You are
I like
welcome.
it. Very
because
smart.
all the hard work you do in front of camera, Dan, you need to
Oh.
wear one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Now everyone can see me on the podcast wearing my Loyal to the Game polo. I love that.
Don't
Thank you.
thank us, mate. Thank Anna.
Yes, thank you, Anna Jagger.
Dan, last week we were speaking about our 100th episode is right around the corner, and we know you're a guy that's good at ideas. Sam and I are looking for ideas of ways to celebrate episode number 100 of the Bristol Flyers podcast. Any thoughts?
Oh my! What, immediately? Right now?
Right now, let's go.
Oh goodness me.
100 fresh waters.
Yes. We can think about that. I'll put my thinking cap on. We can do something
You've
special.
got until the end of the episode to have an idea for us, Danny boy. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
And have a think. Have a think about what we're going to do for our 100th episode.
Nice.
Flyers fan Matt Hardy, by the way, commented on last week's episode saying we should go one-on-one for our 100th episode.
Like, yes, because then we'll see that the score will be 100-0. Like, do you know what I mean? It's
Brilliant. Brilliant. Coming up on this week's show, we're going to be talking about the two Flyers games of the last week. We're rounding up the latest British basketball news. Plus, we have our very first player joining us right here in the studio. But before we introduce our guest on this week's show, quick reminder, if you're enjoying the podcast on all major podcast providers, please give us a rating and a review. It really helps us move up the podcast charts. If you're watching on YouTube, do give us a comment on YouTube and share it with a friend as well. If you've got a friend who's just got into Flyers basketball, wants to know know more about our sporting stars and have a bit of fun on the way, then do recommend the Bristol Flyers podcast. Please, please, please.
We hit number 30 on UK podcasts the other day, didn't we?
We did hit number 30 on the UK podcast charts for basketball podcasts.
Basketball podcasts,
We are going
yeah.
upwards, but sometimes when we don't release an episode for a while, like today we're recording on a Friday, it would go down the charts as well. So we need to get better at consistency, and you need to get better at listening as well. I'm joking. I'm joking.
What'd you say?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Terrible.
Right, shall we introduce this week's guest, shall we? So time for us to introduce our guest, and we thought it would be best for our very first player guest to be here in the studio is newly appointed Bristol Flyers co-captain. So please welcome back to the pod, entering his 5th season with the Flyers. He is Bristol's sexiest male 2017 in the Bristol Post sexy list. Leslee Smith joins us back in the studio. How you doing, Les?
Leslie Smith!
Hey, thanks for having me. Of course, the introduction was amazing.
You're never going to live that down, are you?
Nah. I mean, it's good to remind the people, so in case they forgot. But that was such a long time ago, and yeah, it's amazing. And I'm becoming a regular on the podcast.
You are going to regular on the podcast. This is what appearance is this now for you?
For me, it made my 4th.
Your 4th time.
Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. And also this year as Flyers co-captain. How does that sound?
I mean, it's a good title to have. Even though last year I kind of stepped into that role a bit. So not much change other than just having a title.
Yeah. I mean, you like you say, like Raf was the captain, but it was more of that leadership team, and now this year it is more, it's just a case of making that leadership team official with co-captains. You don't really see that too often in sport, though, do you?
No, I think it was right. Me and Raf spoke about it because we would always speak after games, on the side, just about how the team is going, what we think should be happening, any changes or just overall feedback on the season. And we just figured that, maybe I could help him a bit more on that from my perspective because, last year a lot of the guys gravitated towards me. So just bridging that gap that may be missing with Raf, that I'll just come in and fill that role.
Yeah,
especially when you're CEO, am I right?
Yeah, CEO.
He is the CEO of the SCAT team.
I think we forget the guys that coming through, especially the first years out of America or whatever. They just get younger and younger. I know they're not, but for you, it must feel like they get younger, and they need people like you to sort of. Actually, I don't really know how you do it because we're not on those inner conversations.
Yeah.
But I bet you end up having to influence them in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, it's good to have veteran presence, people who've played, not just in the SLB now, but in other places, in the European competitions and stuff like that, just to kind of help these guys understand what they're getting into and just guide them in the right direction.
Obviously, you've been here. This is season number 5 now for you. And you must know all the hot spots around the city right now, right? Where to go, showing the players where to be, things like that.
When Trey got here, he likes to eat, so I was just trying to put him on places that I would go to. I spoke to him about rice and things, the Caribbean spot.
Did he go?
When we went, it was closed.
No.
Oh man, yeah, they do it. They do this every year when they're closed for maybe a month or so, and I guess they go home.
Yeah.
The owners, they go home, so they'll be on break for a couple of weeks or whatever, and then they get back. So we haven't been there yet. So a couple of places I showed him around, and he's enjoyed it.
For context, Trey is the housemate for you, Les.
Yeah,
that's why you're saying that.
Yeah.
'Cause
And in terms of places you haven't been to yet in Bristol, because obviously you've been here for 4 years, but you've got to try and balance basketball alongside. Is there any places, you've got a checklist of places that you actually haven't visited or seen or things to do in Bristol at all that you've wanted to always do?
You know what? I'm the guy that after practice I just go home. And, I get on the
okay,
game.
yeah.
So I don't really do too much exploring. I'm more of an introvert. I'm willing to go and check these places out if I have some company. I'm not going by myself. But if people want to send in a list of places, that I should visit if I haven't visited before.
You're not on the dating apps, Les, on Tinder or anything like that?
No. Maybe when I first got here, but nah. I had to delete that stuff. It's not good.
Talk to us about the group as a whole this year, because you've been together for about a month
About a
now.
month, yeah.
How are the new guys settling in?
Pretty good. From day one when we did the Thatcher's commercial.
Oh
at the
yeah, of
event.
course, yeah.
Yeah, it was just the energy and how guys are getting along and cracking jokes and all that stuff. That was a good start to see where we are now, and guys are pretty comfortable with each other, and we crack jokes all the time. We hang out, all that good stuff. Practice is really good. So it from day one to now, the energy and the camaraderie that guys are creating is pretty good.
And just for the context for the listener on that one, I mean, it was day one they got here. It was we originally planned to do a activation, didn't we, at Thatcher's Farm for one of our partners, Thatcher Cider.
Yeah.
We went down to do some filming, and obviously we planned it as early as possible in the hope that it would be really sunny. And the heavens literally opened, and it was day one of the players literally getting here. Welcome to Bristol. You're off to a cider farm, and it's absolutely pelting it down.
And also, it was the most British thing I've ever seen. And Philip McTeer is the guy who he's the marketing man there, and he's brilliant. But he was explaining all the different apples and stuff, and I was just sat there listening. This is the most southwestern British thing you could ever do on your first day. I'm sure the guys liked it though, didn't they?
They enjoyed it. A bit of cider involved.
You a big cider drinker, Les?
I love a bit of cider.
Yeah,
I must admit.
Because we did the cider tasting that day as well, didn't we? Was there any of your favourites of the Thatcher's range?
I can't really remember the names.
Were you a fan of the Katie one? Is that the one?
That's my absolute good nemesis.
There was a few of them. I can't remember.
What about a blood orange?
Oh, blood orange is also
blood orange.
Did it have blood orange?
Not
they
in
had
the
the black
tasting,
currant.
wasn't?
The black currant.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wasn't really a fan of the black currant.
It's
I think
very
the Katie
sweet.
was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Katie was good.
Yeah, it was a great day actually. It's first day in, get a cider tasting.
Yeah,
I think
food
some
after.
content's not out yet, but it will be coming out very soon.
Yeah, look out for
won't
that
it?
content coming out really soon. It'll be. I think we'll drop that in the next few weeks. So keep your eyes peeled.
We were talking about the team just before that. Which of the players do you feel like you've of the new guys you've sort of made a initial quite a close connection with? Do you reckon?
It's a good question. I would say it's probably between Jared and Kendall. Those two guys are pretty cool. I like talking to him. Kendall, he sits right next to me. Kendall, he sits right next to me in the changing room, in the locker room before games and practice. So, I talked to him a couple times, and his dad, reached out to me a couple times. Shout out to his dad. Really good guy. So I would say Kendall maybe or Jared. It's between those two.
Both those guys, and I'm sure we'll get onto this at some point, have got some absolute disgusting posterizing dunks in them. They haven't done it yet. They've missed a couple, but they have got them in them,
Jared
don't they?
He could have been on the top 10.
Yeah,
missed out.
100%. It was incredible.
He just hit it off the back of the rim, didn't he? So, but yeah.
Yeah. Talk to us about the characters in the team. Are there any funny characters we should be looking out for? Any jokers on the team this year? Damon Robinson.
Damon Robinson. Yeah. Happy birthday to Damon. Shout out to Damon. It's his birthday today. Yeah. If you tune in, check him out. Say happy birthday. It might be a bit late, but he'll be looking forward and happy to hear.
Well, I'm going to try and drop this podcast on Friday. So it might, if you're listening on podcast on Friday, if it's late on Friday night, probably drop it late on Friday night. It will still be his birthday, so you can reach out to him.
It's never too late. I've got birthday wishes 2 days later, and I was like, hey, appreciate it. So you're never too late.
Hey, it's the thought that counts.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about having your boy Ibuka back in the training?
Yeah, Ibo's back. That's the Prezi. That's the Prezi. It's good to see him back. He took a year out, and he was in Essex, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he went out and got that experience. Something he wanted to explore. So
he did well as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did pretty well. So I'm glad he's back home now, and he wants to. He feels like he's a Flyer, and he wants to finish his. He wants to become a pro here.
Yeah, I was going to say 5 returning players from last year's squad. You add in the likes of Ibuka and then obviously Corey Hill as well.
Yes,
and those are 2 more guys that know the Flyers system, the Flyers playbook, etc. So you've actually got quite a big core of players coming back. How important is that for you as a player when you want to come back into a team and you know that a bunch of other guys are also coming back to the team as well?
That's very important. I think that was really important for Coach also, that you have guys that understand what he's trying to accomplish and what we're trying to accomplish each day in practice, and also just be able to help guys coming in, especially at each position. When you think about it, we have a bunch of new guys, but we have guys that fill each position that's returning. So it's a lot easier to help, teach guys and get guys along in practice so we can move forward a bit faster. That way we don't have to do too much. Coach doesn't have to do too much stopping and teaching. We could just be like, hey, look, this is where you need to be. So it helps a lot in practicing in games because we can now extend that knowledge that we have onto these new guys. So coach won't have to do too much of that.
You mentioned, we're talking about funny characters and Damon Robinson being a funny character. We've got a funny character over here in Leslee Smith because, Les, of course, Halloween is right around the corner. And we can't forget what you dressed up as for Halloween last season. Get it up on screen, producer Dan. Because there it is. You are dressed. You arrived to the game against BC Juventus on Halloween last season dressed as Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie.
Talk us through it, Les.
I don't know. So me and T. John and his girlfriend, we were looking for some costumes. And I'm just like, I don't know what to wear. First of all, I'm a pretty big guy, so it's hard to find stuff to wear over body. Yeah. So I'm just like, you know what? I just need to get a good mask. And we was just looking around, and I saw this mask, and I just couldn't stop laughing at it. I was like, I guess I got to pull this off. And I came in, and people were just laughing and just cracking up. So I was like, I thought it was a good one.
Do you know what? It's one of those that's perfect because it's really easy to pull off and it's easy to do, but it has a lot of a lot of laughs out of it.
Yeah. Because we had a game on Halloween last season. It was against BC Juventus. This year, we've actually got a game the day before Halloween. Any thoughts about whether you want to get the players arriving, doing player arrivals in fancy dress this year? What are your thoughts?
I'm pretty sure. That's a discussion we probably got to have.
Yeah.
If they want to do it the day before, I'm pretty sure they're going to want to do it the day before.
Yeah.
Just because, it's going to be nice. To get some pictures and some content out there.
Yeah, all about the content. I love how Les is like content first. He's my kind of guy.
Are you going to dress up, Joel?
Am I going to dress up?
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. I'm on commentary for that game.
Yeah,
so I don't know
get
if that
your
would really
face
work.
painted, mate.
I don't know if that would really work on the broadcast. Do you know what I mean? Hello, welcome to the ENBL game. I'm dressed as a skeleton. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I remember your Halloween costume last year. Do you remember that?
Oh my goodness.
The big blow up chicken?
That was too much. You had no effort, right? A mask and mine was so much effort. I don't know if you can find it, Dan. I can't remember where I put it.
Oh, I'll find it.
It's online somewhere.
I was dressed up as a dude riding a blow up chicken.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. That's same thing.
Same thing.
Well, watch this space for the guys' Halloween costumes this year. Who knows what the guys could be arriving as for that ENBL game the day before Halloween this year.
Do you want to see Sam dressed as
do I?
Dressed as a big chicken?
Put it up on screen, Dan.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Here it comes. There he is. And you've got the face paint on as well, Sam.
That is a look, isn't it?
That was a good one.
For the podcast listener, Sam's got this skeleton face paint on with this blow-up chicken outfit. What? It's like you say, it is a chicken blown up with two little legs. It looks like you're riding a blow-up chicken.
No, I actually am riding a blow-up chicken there, Joel.
Very innovative. Very
With
innovative.
some shades on.
There you go. Les, I know you and Raf, co-captains this year. You're big on your community work. You're very active out in the community. I know Raf's sort of taken on that club ambassador role this year with the Bristol Sport Foundation. And I'm right in thinking the two of you last year actually did some skill sessions, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. It was like a 5-week program. Unfortunately, it was only once a week because obviously it was late in the season and we still had our games traveling. So it was like a 5-week program where we just met these kids once a week on a Sunday, and we just came in and helped them as much as we can, teach them as much as we can within a short period of time. And then, it was short, but we saw some improvement as we go. That's more credit to the kids that they took, what we showed them, and they went and practiced it. So when they came back, we didn't have to keep reviewing the same things over and over. So, it was a short program, but it was really good. Yeah,
that must be quite rewarding for you guys because, For me growing up, we'd never have like pros come in to coach us, and imagine you being a kid and having a pro come in and coach you guys these lot of skill counts must be really valuable.
Yeah, it helps. I remember when I was young, I'm from the British Virgin Islands, so we didn't have too many of that stuff. So shout out to the officials there. They would bring smaller schools in, from coaches, and they would come in and just give us the same knowledge that we're doing now for these kids. And that helped a lot because now that stuff that I learned, I was able to take it and, carry it on. And eventually it led me here now, to get a scholarship and all that stuff. And now I'm playing professional. So, yeah, it helps a lot. I don't think people should take it for granted when you have players, especially professionals now, who's willing to come in, and, give these life skills and also basketball skills that can help them get a scholarship or, eventually become a professional if they really want to.
It's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah. And this year you're doing the hubs as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
you and Raf.
Yeah, I did it. I'm helping out with the PDP sessions. It's the after school sessions. So I'm going in there with Raf, and we're doing pretty much the same things we did last year with the 5-week session. But now we have these guys twice a week. Some of the same kids and some different kids, but same concepts apply. Come in, teach them some skills, let them play. Mentor them a lot, especially mentoring. I think it's important that people like myself and Raf who have been through those programs who could actually give these guys hope, because a lot of these kids, I was speaking to one kid and he was like, he don't think he can do it because they don't have the programs or the training, the right training. And I told him I didn't have that. So if I could do it, you can do it too. So just being there to help inspire them in ways that they never really had before, I think it plays a big role in their life.
Yeah. What's the most rewarding part of the whole coaching experience for you, do you feel?
The most rewarding is seeing kids actually execute the things you're teaching. That gives me, sometimes I'll be there and I'll be like really excited to see it. Sometimes I get goosebumps because it's like, that they're trying, that they're getting it. And that's like the biggest thing for a coach is that the information that you are like giving out, you hope that they're receiving and to be able to translate it into what you imagine. So to see them go out and actually perform the thing that you're trying to get them to do is like the most rewarding thing.
Les, this obviously this season coming up, this season we're in now, is the 20th anniversary season for Bristol Flyers, and obviously this is your 5th season. So by the end of this season, Coach K would have celebrated 20 years as head coach of the Flyers. You would have been here for 5 of them. Yeah,
that's amazing. Just to see how much the program changed over the years. I mean, I was here back in 2016.
Yeah.
And just to see the growth, I think around that time is when we start actually selling out games.
Yeah, it was.
And to see that it's still been selling out games since then, the program has really came a long way. And shout out to Coach and and the whole Bristol Sport and the whole organization, just to see the growth. They did a really good job.
I still always want to talk about who was in that. So was Greg playing then?
Yep. Yeah, Greg, Roy Owen, Chris was still playing, Chris Bourne.
Was he?
Yeah. That was my first year. So Greg Street, Roy Owen, and Chris Bourne was like the vets. And, me, Dan, all these guys, rookies, Hamid, Brandon Boggs.
What a year.
And
Mike Vigor.
Mike Vigor, he was a vet. He played in Australia and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a really good team.
I love that season.
That was a good
season.
year. That was a good year.
Did you ever think, like, when you were there for your first year with Flyers, that you'd be with the club for 5 years at the time?
You never really think about it. You're just playing year to year. You never really think too much in the future, especially at that age, especially at a rookie. A lot of times you come in and, it's your first time playing pro. You're just thinking, I need to make the best of this situation. And, sometimes it's agents talking to you and families talking to you and all that stuff. So you got a lot of people in your ear. So you never really know about the future until, like, that next opportunity comes or wherever you're going to be. Sometimes you just end up, it's the nature of the sport, especially playing overseas. You might just end up in a different country. Or you might just end up coming back, but just the nature of the sport playing overseas that you may be here 1 year and then the next couple of years you could be in a different country and then you could end up coming back here because maybe you feel like, hey, this was a really good situation for me. And I just like everything about it. And that's kind of like how it was for me. I thought that Bristol was a really good place, really good situation for me. Obviously, I'm a local. I could have probably played in any other team in the SLB now. But I really like Bristol, and for me to be here 5 years, it shows that it has a lot to offer.
It's not just 5 years; it's 5 years over 8 years. And so, if you look back over the last 8 years, or you look back to your first year, and this year, it doesn't have to be it can be anything. What do you feel like is the biggest difference you've noticed between the club then and the club now? It could be the sort of like training you do, or the commercials. I don't really know. It doesn't matter what it is.
It's a lot. I mean. Even now we're doing podcasts, everything has changed. I mean, just from the transportation, the housing, the court's still the same, the fans are still the same. Some of the people, you guys have always been around. So we still have a lot of the same faces. But in terms of like the infrastructure, stuff like that, a lot has grown since then. And even the city has grown. I mean, there's a lot of different buildings that I've been seeing. I was like, man, there's a lot of work being done in Bristol. So the city is growing itself. Yeah. So just to see that everything is just coming together, it's really good to be in a place like Bristol.
Yeah, you talk about some of the faces being the same. I mean, Andreas Kapoulis and Nick Burns have been there from the very start.
From the start.
That's an incredible achievement, isn't it, for to be coaching and bringing the whole program through over a 20-year period like that.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. I remember Coach saying he had a vision. He met Nick in a bar, I think he said, and he said he had this vision. And just to see that they're still here, 20 years later, that's true commitment. I would say true commitment.
Me and Steve Devereux were driving to Trowbridge the other day for our own local league basketball game, and he pointed out the very pub in which Nick and Andreas met in, actually.
It's the Globe. It's the Globe pub is where they had that conversation.
Really?
I didn't know what that was or where that was, so it was weird as pointing out. I'd be like, that is so weird.
We should take the podcast down to the Globe with Andreas and Nick and do an episode in
Literally,
there.
why have we not even thought of that one time?
We should just do it and pop up in the pub.
Oh my, okay, genuinely, Joel, that
Write
has
that
to
down,
be
write that down,
right.
write that down.
Dan, you better write that down.
I wrote this down 6 months ago.
You're a liar.
Yeah, write that down.
Did you actually say
I
that 6 months
mentioned
ago?
this ages ago.
Dan, you're irrelevant on this podcast. I've told you that.
There we go. But Les, before we get on to the news section of the podcast, we've got a fun little game for you.
Oh man, games. I always do so. Like I don't really get the games too well. But let's see. We're gonna crush it today. Let's
Well, this one's going to test your decision-making skills because all good captains need to have good decision-making skills.
Okay.
So we've got a
Put me on the
series.
spot.
It is putting you on the spot
me on the
because
spot,
because
alright.
we've got a series of captain's dilemmas for you. We're going to say a bunch of dilemmas, and you've got to tell us what decision you'd make in that moment.
I like that, Jolie.
The first dilemma, I've got it here for you. Here it is. Right, captain dilemma number 1. One of your star players has been consistently late to practice, and it's affecting team morale. The player is vital for the next game. Do you ask coach to bench them to set an example, or do you ask coach to let them play and give your team the best chance to win?
You got to set an example. We have to set an example because if that behavior continues, it could spread. And that's the last thing you want, for that type of behavior to spread amongst everyone else, because that's what happens when one person seem like he's allowed to do more, even though he's not. He's just taking advantage of something, maybe because he know he's a star player or whatever. It could kind of trickle down to other guys, and it could continue. It could be like a team problem. So I would say set an example for sure.
Nice.
I like the decisive decision-making skills.
Straight in there.
That is the decision of a captain right there.
Okay.
Sam, you got the second one?
Dilemma number 2. During a crucial game, who's the crucial game, Joel?
Could be anyone.
Leicester.
I've left it very vague because I don't want to name any players or teams or anything like that.
One of your teammates twists their ankle, but insists they're fine to continue playing, even though it's clear they're in a bit of pain. Craig and Dom from the medical team aren't at the game to advise, which is weird in the first place, Joel.
They're not
They're
around.
helping someone else.
That's what I'm saying. They're not around, and it's up to you to decide.
Do you trust your teammates' judgment, or do you ask coach to pull them out for the safety of the player?
I would trust the player's judgment, because for me, I feel like the player knows their body more than somebody could tell them. So if he hurts his ankle and he can move around and run around, then he's good to go. If he can't, then he would say, I can't. So I would trust the player's judgment. If he say he can go, let him go.
Like when Keedy wanted to carry on playing with his broken wrist last year.
Yeah, let him go. he might not be able to do the same things, but if his presence out there is gonna help, let him go.
And here's a video from Craig and Dom seeing what they would say. No, I'm joking.
I was looking forward. That's
Right, we've got one final captain's dilemma for you, Les, and this one comes from producer Dan.
Thank you very much. Another very
Dan.
serious and realistic one here.
okay.
Coach K has taken the Flyers roster to the seaside for some team bonding. Owen McCormack is leading the group out of a cave when he gets stuck between the rocks. In a short time, the tide will come in, and unless he's unstuck, you will all drown, except Owen, whose head is out of the cave. Now, thankfully, Pasquale, as he often does, has some dynamite with him. There's no way of getting Owen loose without using the dynamite, which will, remove Owen, but save the team. What do you do?
Do you sacrifice Owen McCormack
Surely.
for the lives of the rest of the squad?
Wait.
This is so dark.
This is very
That
sinister.
is mad.
But very important because it might happen.
I have to answer this.
Well, you don't
I have to answer this, Dan.
You don't have to answer this.
You don't have to answer. Let's just hope it doesn't happen. We'll never know.
Well,
I mean,
it is not going to happen.
Dan,
Why
you,
would he have dynamite?
you could have said C4. That would have been a way better.
Oh, yeah,
No,
C4.
we are going to die.
The Flyers always have C4 in Corey Samuels.
Yeah. Thanks, Joel.
I'm not answering that one. I'm not doing that one. No.
Well, there you have it. There goes your captain's dilemmas. That was a little bit of fun for it. That was a good chat as well, wasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, I like that.
But now it's time for us to get to the news.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Right, let's talk about what's been going on in British basketball over the last week or so. We've got to start by talking about the two games that happened in the last 7 days, Sam. The first one was ENBL. Flyers went the distance against the defending ENBL champions, Bakken Bears, away in Denmark. but fell 83-72 was the final score. Did you watch this one?
Yeah, I did watch this one. It's tough. It was tough because I thought we did really well. I genuinely thought we did really well. We didn't shoot great from behind the arc, did we, Les?
It was a good game. The thing is, Backing is a really, really good team. Is the reason why they're the champions. So it was a learning process for us. I think we got a lot of good things out of that. Even though we didn't shoot the ball pretty well, it was a step in the right direction, and I think that game helped us translate to how we performed in the game against Surrey.
And you're going to have games like that, right? Where you're not going to shoot well.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things, isn't it?
Normal, yeah. It's normal to have off nights. I think in those moments, you have to recognize that we're having an off night and try to do something else that could help us win the game.
Well, let's run it back to the start of the game. Very choppy opening period, wasn't it? There's quite a lot of turnovers back and forth from both teams. I thought both teams turned the ball over quite a lot.
Yeah, our turnovers was a bit different. They're calling a ton of travels. The turnovers that we were causing on them were live turnovers, so it was allowing us to get out on fast break and get points, which is something we hang our hat on. So it was good that we were able to execute some of the things that we planned.
Yeah, it was nothing to separate the teams in the first. It was, 20 points to 18 after one, back in on top by 2. Evan Walsh hit 4 straight points to start the second to give Flyers the lead. And then Keely Johnson banged in a 3 at the end of the first half. Flyers up 37-33. Went neck and neck all the way through the third. Jacob Polakovic started to sort of find rhythm for them in the fourth. And then Bears pulled away by 11 at the final buzzer. Damon Robinson, 19 points, led the way for Bristol, closely followed by Evan Walsh, not far behind on 18.
Evan Walsh. I love that he's on our team because I hated him not being on our team before.
I agree.
Wasn't he so annoying to play against?
He doesn't stop moving. And I told him, I said, look, I'm glad you're here because I used to hate playing against you because as soon as he get the ball, he's gone, So I think that's a dynamic that coach wanted. And something that we need so that we could play at a high pace. So that's one of the best players to have in that position.
He's like a disruptor, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is for sure.
And it also helps that he knows British basketball.
Yeah,
he's himself. He's in his 5th year as a pro now in this league, or the British Basketball League, Super League Basketball.
Super League.
So
Super League.
It helps that he knows what it's like. He knows exactly what to expect. 100%. He knows the venues as well.
I mean, the name is the only thing that changed. The way the game is played is going to be the same. The referees, a lot of the referees are the same. So he knows what to expect night in and night out. And just having a player like that, again, could help with these new guys to help, bridge that gap and help them become more affiliated with the league a lot faster.
Yeah. Well, that defeat means that Flyers are 0-1 heading into Wednesday's ENBL game against Bamberg. If you haven't got your tickets for that game, by the way, go get them. bristolflyers.co.uk. Bamberg, one of the biggest names to ever be coming to the SGS Wise campus from the German Bundesliga. Wednesday, October 16th. Promises to be a great game. Tickets are available right now. bristolflyers.co.uk. You excited for that one, Les, Bamberg?
Of course. I'm excited for every game we play. Especially this year with the amount of opportunities to win a trophy or a cup or a championship. You got to be excited for each game and, just approach the game as to win.
Yeah. Speaking of ENBL, Sam, last week saw the debut on the broadcast of the ENBL theme tune. Did you listen to this on the broadcast?
I did.
You did listen to it, did you?
Yeah.
It's a very catchy tune, actually. If you haven't heard it yet, here it is. Very catchy, isn't it? I thought ENBL, very, very, very catchy. Great jingle, don't get me wrong. But when he says ENBL, that sounds exactly like Ian Beale, as in the famous Ian Beale from our favourite meme of all time. I've got nothing left. Do you not reckon? Is that not ENBL?
He's from EastEnders. Have you ever seen this? Oh my goodness me, that is Joe. Literally, play it again. Ian Beale.
I've actually done a bit of work here to the Ian Beale theme.
Go on.
I have created the ENBL theme tune, the Ian Beale remix. Have a listen to this. Ian Beale, ice in the veins, ice in the veins. Ian Beale, ice in the veins, ice in the veins. Nothing left.
not my mother. I am your mother.
What do you reckon of that, Sam?
That is.
I can't get that out of my head right now.
Oh my goodness!
I would never hear that ENBL theme song ever again in the same way.
Any American listeners now is like, what is going on?
That's just a British joke for the British fans here. Les has no idea what we're talking about right now.
Clueless.
Go watch some EastEnders.
Don't do it. It's like the worst. It's like we've got these terrible like soap operas here in the UK from like London, and there's a northern one. There's all these different ones, and that's the London one. It is so bad, isn't it, Joel?
Yeah. Well, some people say it's good. I think it's bad. But it does produce some great memes, like the "I've Got Nothing Left" meme, which we love here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. Shall we move on to the next game of the weekend, shall we? Let's talk about the Surrey 89ers game on Saturday. And that, of course, was the absolute thriller of a game with that fourth quarter comeback, the home opener. It was party atmosphere in there, wasn't it?
I'm going to tell you right now, some unreal things happened in that game.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
One of the things that happened, actually, one of my favourite things was by the man sat next to me on my left here. That block was disgusting.
Yeah.
You know it was as well, don't you? Yeah.
Okay, so in my mind, I wanted to actually knock it out of bounds. I wanted to swat it out of bounds, yeah, but it just happened to hit the backboard, and it led to 2 points. So I was like, that works. You know, that was perfect. It actually set up perfect, but in my mind, I wanted to actually knock it out of bounds.
Okay, obviously, the way it went down, off the backboard, caught by, I think it was Evan, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and then straight to Keedy, who I think actually should have had that one, but that's another story. But does the hype of hitting it out of bounds more exciting than that? Because it's like, I've just, it's basically a big middle finger up to the person shooting.
Either one is actually bad. Because it's like, when you get your shot blocked on the backboard, it's like, you feel kind of embarrassed. I remember when it happened, he was like, man, good block, boy. Did
he say that?
Yeah, he told me. He's right after, he's like, man, good block. So either way, if it went out of bounds or hit the backboard, it's kind of like a disrespecting action.
But coaches always say, don't they, from put the coach.
Yeah, you want to block it on.
They'll say you want to block it and you want to keep it in bounds so you can break away.
It worked out perfect.
Yeah.
But my idea was to just stop the layup. Don't let this guy score 2 points. And my aim was to knock it out of bounds. It just happened to hit the backboard, and we got 2 points out of it, and it turned out to be the best play.
I mean, it was absolutely not the only incredible block from that game as well. The last block of the game by Kalu
Kendall.
Kendall.
2 big blocks from Kendall. Last 2 possessions.
True. And that one was one that then got he hit a big dunk at the end as well. Didn't need to really seal it, but it got tight though. It was tight down the line, wasn't it?
Well,
it was a good game.
I'll tell you what, we were down by 7 with 7 minutes to go. We take the lead back with 3 minutes to go on that Jared Sherfield dunk. What was that difference maker that allowed that you guys to go on that run, do you feel?
I think he was just getting stops in crucial moments and the hustle plays, like my block. Kendall's, he actually helped me out on a block also where I gambled, and plays like that that gets the crowd behind us. I think those moments is what led to us, capturing the lead and then being able to seal the victory.
There's certain plays, aren't there, that really, really do that to the crowd. I mean, there was a moment a bit early on in that where they basically had a breakaway dunk and Trey came back and had a little steal out of bounds, didn't he?
Yeah, stuff like that, those winning type plays, those hustle plays, the crowd feeds off that stuff. And the more of that we do, the louder it gets in that gym.
Yeah.
So and once these guys learn that and they understand that, I think we'll have a lot of fun this year.
The thing I noticed as well is that your defense is always pretty intense, but that fourth quarter you guys turned another level, didn't you?
Yeah. That's that. We work on defense every day. Coach, he stresses it every day. So for us to be able to lock in at that moment where we really needed to, it just shows the type of characters we got and the type of guys we have. And I'm just glad that it was that moment where we could all lock in together as a team and make it happen. Because that's when it happens, when 5 guys on the floor actually getting it done.
Kendall Lewis, 18 points, 13 rebounds, was the player of the game. Trey Tennyson led the team in scoring, 26 points and 6 boards. Keely Johnson, 18 points and 5 assists. Jared Sherfield, 10 points and 4 rebounds.
Wow.
They're stacked up and down the stat sheet that whole game. It means Flyers improved to 1-1 in group play of the trophy, heading into Saturday's game against the Niners again. It's quite tough, isn't it, when you got to play the same team over 2 weeks, because you know that they're going to make adjustments going into that second game, right?
Definitely, and they had some guys that were out. Lawrence was out and Ray was out, and we might see these guys tomorrow. So the dynamic of the game could change a bit from those positions. But at the same time, we have to prepare for that, and we have to make adjustments also. So, and Raph was out that game. We have Raph back, so they have to account for that also. But that's the nature of the sport. You play once, you go play the same team again a week later. You try to correct the errors that you made, the mistakes that you made, and go forward, and hopefully you can have a better game.
Yeah. Well, the game is live on DAZN on Saturday, 6 p.m. tip-off. Make sure you tune in. If you listened to last week's episode, you'll know exactly how you can tune in via DAZN this season. Did you watch it on DAZN, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely love watching.
I actually watched it back on DAZN, that Saturday game, afterwards, after the game had finished.
I not just watched that. I watched about 3 more games last weekend. Unreal. I know we're not going to talk about too much, but the Sheffield versus... Are you going to talk about it later?
No, it's not on my list, no.
The Sheffield versus Cheshire game was unreal, Joel.
Is that when Nixon went off for like 39 points?
13, mate.
Yeah.
He can play.
He can play. Yes, he can.
Yeah.
I mean, Cheshire nearly came back from a 19-point down deficit, though, but then Nixon hit a massive... He crossed someone up so bad that they fell over.
There was there's a 3, and then there was like a mid-range 2. It was absolutely filthy.
Yeah, put someone on their feet, on the floor, so all good.
The league actually announced their Team of the Week last week, and despite that massive performance from Nixon, 2 Flyers players were named in the Super League Team of the Week, which were, of course, Kendall Lewis and Trey Tennyson. So massive congratulations.
So Nixon didn't make it?
Oh, he did make it as well.
No, he did.
I was wondering.
Yeah, no, he was in there, but there's only one Sheffield player in there. Also, big news this week from the Super League regarding the non-league participants in the Super League Cup competition. 5 teams from ENBL Division 1, of course in England, and 2 teams from Scotland's SBC have accepted invites to enter the Cup as wildcard participants this year, which means we go up from 9 to 16 participants. So it's a full bracket with 16 teams.
Love that. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, it's really good. I think the 7 teams they've announced are the Derby Trailblazers, Essex Rebels, Hemel Storm, Nottingham Hoods, Reading Rockets, Falkirk Fury, and St Mirren.
Does that mean we're going to see a return of Lewis Champion?
If we do draw against Reading Rockets, we'll see a return of Lewis Champion, Lou Champ. But I'll tell you what, though, I don't know if you've looked down the rosters in NBL Division 1 this season. Some of them are stacked. There's a whole bunch of players, former BBL players that are playing in Div 1 right now.
There's a big guy from was
Mo Walker.
Mo Walker's
he's playing for Derby Trailblazers. Hemel Storm's got Darren Nelson Henry.
Well, we've seen some upsets through the years, but obviously not in the last few years because it wasn't that way. But
back when we were a Division 1 team, Flyers, and we entered this competition, we beat Surrey in the first round. There are upsets that can happen, especially with the talent that's on the rosters in Div 1 this season. So there are going to be some big names in the Super League Cup competition. Dan?
I'm very excited about this. Were Derby the team that beat Plymouth?
Yes,
recently?
they were. Yes, they were.
Wow.
They were the team that beat Plymouth previously.
Yeah.
There were other upsets very recently, actually. We were an upset. We got beat by Solent Kestrels. Do you remember?
I don't want to talk about it.
We don't talk about that game.
We don't talk about that game.
Upsets, especially if you're playing against Division 1 teams that have former British Basketball League and SLB players, then you get a team that you play against that have a bunch of new guys. The veteran experience could actually take over. Sometimes it's not so much about the talent and none of that stuff. It's just, okay, well, we've been here in this situation before. We know exactly what to do. And that could take over, and that's where the upsets probably happen.
So that competition gets underway in January. It is a bracket. There'll be a draw, which they draw out the teams one by one. They place them in the bracket, and then once the whole bracket is complete, you know your exact pathway to the final. Producer Dan.
And I've got another question for you. This is open as well, right? There's no seeding or anything like that. Anybody can draw anybody.
It's a straight draw, so you could get an all Division 1 matchup in the first round.
Wow.
Once you know what part of the bracket you're in, you know exactly you'll play the winner of this other game versus this other game in the next round, all the way through to the final.
Brilliant.
So that starts in January. Single elimination games up until the semi-finals. The semi-finals are aggregate score over 2 legs. We don't talk about aggregate score on the Bristol Flyers podcast. But look out for that. That gets underway in January, and the draw will be happening very, very soon indeed. Other news to get to, Sam. We've actually announced a partnership with the Bristol Pitbulls Ice Hockey Club to host a theme night at one of each other's games this season.
Ooh.
The Pitbulls night at the Flyers will be during our ENBL clash against Inter Bratislava on Wednesday, November 6th.
Have you ever been down to a Pitbulls game?
No, I haven't.
There you go.
Is that the hockey team?
Ice hockey team,
That
yeah.
is the hockey team. All right, I haven't.
Add it to your bucket list, Les, while you're here
I
in
will.
Bristol.
I think a few guys actually reached out to me before. Can't remember the names, but I think they reached out to me last year.
Well, we're
about
going to go as a team for our Flyers takeover at their game this season.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But they haven't
Gonna get
announced
you-
what game it is yet, though.
We'll get you in the ice skates. Let us know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll do it. Actually, I tried to rollerblade a long time ago, and I bust my ass. I don't know about the ice. The ice is probably worse.
Well, look out for that on socials. Our Pitbulls themed night at the Flyers, as we say, will be on November 6th. There's going to be some great activations in store across the game, including a chance to win a signed Pitbulls jersey. Some of the Pitbulls players will also be in the house doing some shooting challenges at half time, and you can meet them after the game as well.
Amazing.
So get tickets for that right now. bristolflyers.co.uk. Flyers versus Inter Bratislava. And now you're up to date with this week's news.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Right, Les, this is the part of the show where we wrap up the podcast with our mailbag segment. And as always, whenever we get a player to come in the studio, we put it out on Instagram. We ask fans to send in their questions to you. You seem to have a funny expression on your face here. Do you know what's coming?
No, I don't know. I think Owen sent the question. I'm curious to know what he said.
Oh, he did. Shall I read it out right now?
Is that the first one?
Well, it can be the first one. It's on my notes here. He says, Billy Bob,
Is that what he calls you?
how long you been playing with the Flyers? 14 or 15 years?
Oh my God, Billy Bob. Okay, so the story behind Billy Bob. We play Apex. He's on Apex now.
Okay.
And so it's me, him, and Pasquale, and we just have these country names, and we just have these country accents. So he's like, I'll be like, Jimmy, come on, Jimmy, get yourself a carbine. So we just be having these like country conversations on the game. So he called me Billy Bob, and we call Pete. Pete said he wanted to be called Dirty Dan. So we'll land and we try to get some guns. Jimmy would be like, Billy Bob, I need a carbine. I need some Mosies. So we just have these accents. So, but to answer the question, why would he pick 15 and 14 years? Like that's
No idea. He did say in the side note to the question, please ask Joel to ask it just like that. So,
Yeah, I figured. Yeah,
I think I delivered on that one.
Yeah. Owen, this guy.
Okay, we got another question here from. I'm gonna choose. This is from JD Vigor. She wants to know what's been your favorite year/team with the Flyers.
Those first 2 years. Shout out to JD. That's my girl. But those first 2 years was my favorite 2 years.
Her follow-up question though is quite fun. Who's your all-time Flyers 5
Ooh.
from the players you've played alongside with the club? That is a really tough question. That's a really good question.
All time.
It can be any year, so you can take players from different seasons.
And not Les. So it's a full 5, okay? Not including you.
Not including me.
Yeah.
Okay. Hamid Ali.
Okay.
Definitely.
Nice.
Hamid. I'll put Keedy at the 2.
Keedy Johnson at the 2.
Keedy Robinson.
3, Brandon Boggs. Oh, no. 3, VJ.
I was going to say, where's our man VJ in this?
VJ, 3, VJ. Oh, wait.
You're missing out Bogsy now.
Oh, man.
This
I got to go back.
This is a captain's dilemma here for you.
This is a dilemma. Oh, man. I'm going to have to start this over. Oh, okay. Hamid Ali.
Yeah. We've literally got him with a
Can
dilemma.
I put guys in positions that they're not?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like, if you want to put Bogsy at the 3, you can do. If you want to put VJ at the 4, you probably could do.
Brandon in there, not Boggs. I want to put him in there too, but I want to put Brandon from
Brandon Mahan.
Mahan. Like Brandon Mahan could go.
And he was joining in
think
with
a
your
lot of
Southern
people-
conversations as well.
I don't think y'all understand how good he is. He's good. I don't
You
think
know he's
he got
playing in Ireland this year.
I know. I want to put him in there. I'll put him in there at the 2. The 3, VJ. The 4. Who would be the 4? Ooh, it's hard to put it. TB was a problem, man.
TB was a problem.
Mike Vigor was good too. Don't get me wrong. Mike was a vet. Oh man, I'm gonna go with Mike. Because we played some years together. I'm going Mike Vigor for sure. At the 4, I'd probably throw Brad in there.
Yeah, Bradley the baddie. It's gotta be
Braddy the baddie.
That 5, man. That 5. That's 5. So I got Hamid, Brandon, VJ, Mike Vigor, and Brad.
What a team.
That's a great
That's
team.
a team, isn't it?
Yeah,
That is a great team.
Good question, JD.
Kendall Lewis has been in touch with the podcast. He says, what does it mean to be the Scat CEO?
It's just a nice little fun slogan that we carry. Me and Ebo, he reminded me of it when I got back. So it's nice to have that title, because what it represents, obviously it's a shooting thing. It started with that. So to be called the CEO of the Scat, that means I got one of the best shots out there. That's what that means. But yeah, it's just fun, just to, make sure. I just want to have guys understanding the concept behind it, and that it's like a confidence thing too. So like if you walk around, you say you got the Scat, then you got a lot of confidence in your game, stuff like that. So that's kind of like the concept behind it.
AJ Evans on Instagram says, what's the best bit about playing for the Flyers?
The home games.
Apart from the podcast, sorry.
Apart from the podcast.
Sorry, yeah.
Apart from the pod, of course.
The home games.
Yeah.
When the crowd gets, going, and we could do stuff to help them get going. That's like the best moments.
Here's a question: who's your favorite music artist, and is there anyone new, up and coming, we should know about?
Favorite music artist.
Apart from Lionel Richie, yeah.
Dang. I don't really think I have a favorite artist. I'm a dance hall, Afro beats, R&B type of guy. I would say if I was to put the favorite artist out there now, it would probably be Brent Faiyaz, because I'm a big R&B guy, so he's like really good. So Brent Faiyaz would probably be like my number one go-to guy right now.
Strong. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna search it.
Search some Brent Faiyaz. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I get the first part right. I don't know if Faiyaz is the right, but Brent for sure. He got some good music out.
There we go. Producer Dan, you got a question for Les?
I do have a question. Yeah, it's kind of a two-parter though. So firstly, is there any other sports that you watch? Firstly, other than basketball, obviously, are there any other sports that you have an interest in?
I watch a bit of American football sometimes. Good question. I don't really watch too much different sports, no.
Did you guys all come down to Ashton Gate the other week?
I didn't.
A bunch of the players did.
I didn't. I was a bit busy.
Yeah. Oh, really? On those Tinder dates, were you?
No. Hey, listen, no.
He's deleted those apps, Joel. Listen.
I was busy.
Okay, I see.
I was busy.
I see.
I couldn't make it.
But a bunch of them have come down and what about Ashton Gate, haven't they?
Yeah. I've been down there to watching football games and rugby games. It's pretty cool.
Go on, second part
of my question was, I was just interested to know, because are there any other captains in other sports that you now take inspiration from in your role as co-captain? Any other captains that you take inspiration from?
I do watch a lot of Michael Jordan, and I watch a lot of Kobe. I watch a lot of the guys who were like the guy on their team, especially on the teams where they were winning. I just wanted to learn the mindset around how they approach the season, how they approach the games. So I've been watching a lot of people like that lately. A lot of Kevin Garnett. Some of these guys are my favorite players, but I never really watched them to get into their mindset. I would always watch them from a skill perspective to learn stuff for basketball, but I never really dug into like the way they think and stuff like that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of like what I would do.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, that's a great place for us to wrap up this week's episode of the podcast. Les, thanks for joining us here in the studio as our first studio guest. 4th appearance in the books.
Yeah. What number are we trying to get to?
We can go as long as you like, Les. We can do as many. The fans want to hear from you, man.
They do.
So we appreciate you coming down
Shout out
here.
to the fans, I love them.
Into the studio. Best of luck with the game this weekend as well against
Thanks.
Surrey 89ers.
We'll be watching.
We will be watching. I'll be there with you guys.
Amazing.
Well, I'll
Amazing.
be watching.
Sam, great episode. Another one in the books.
There we go. I've got one more thing to add before you ask.
Go on.
At the beginning of the episode, we were asking about ideas for our 100th episode, and we challenged Mr. Daniel, producer Dan, with the task. Dan, do you have an idea for us or not, sir?
I've got a couple of ideas for you here. Now, 100 episodes. Normally we record this, right? Maybe we do it live.
Ooh, okay. We do a live episode.
Do a little live episode.
We've done a live audience.
Live
episode
audience?
as a recorded. We've recorded a live audience episode. I don't know if I trust ourselves to do it live just yet.
We could do it live. We could get people to text questions in.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff as an option.
Good.
And my other option is, now of course we know a couple of guys who fancy themselves as Joel and Sam. Somebody who does a Joel impression.
That's good.
Maybe we get them in as special guest hosts potentially.
Just get them to host the whole thing.
Yeah.
That would be good.
You keen for that, Les?
That would be good. That would be good.
Joel Osborne.
Brilliant. I'll tell you what, I've actually, I walked into practice the other week and McCormack started doing it now. And it's carried on into the new guys.
Yeah, you're becoming a popular character.
You can't get rid of it. It's a running joke.
I've got nothing left.
I got nothing left. All right, that's it for this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the podcast at home, leave us a rating and a review on all major podcast providers. If you're watching on YouTube, recommend us to a friend, like, comment, and subscribe. From Joel, Sam, and producer Dan, we'll see you next week on the Bristol Flyers podcast, powered by Matchday Live.